Suburban in my shop tipped about on its side. Got to repair a bunch of stuff underneath it, and in order to put an air conditioning compressor in there, you have to take the tire off, the inside wheel well out, and then get at it from
I
there.
just had to have one replaced. Do you wanna know what that cost at the dealership?
You know what?
They estimated it was like $950, and they were so excited for me because it was only $850.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, at least I know I'm saving myself $850 on that part of it. Yeah,
I about fell over.
I would really like to have a car hoist.
They sell them.
They do, yeah. They make these really nice portable ones that are just, they're one stand car hoists, where you just roll it up to one side of the vehicle and pick it up. They got little jacks, you can roll them around with there. If you get the made in China one from some goofy Chinese company, it's only like $2,100 for one that's
You
similar.
feel safe under that.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure
That's a
that
good
one's giving me
question.
warm fuzzies. And then there's one that's made in, what is it? Is it College Station, Texas? Is that where Texas A&M is? There's one that's made there, but that's $4,100. It's $2,000 more. So.
How much is the shipping? I'll go down and get it and pick it up for you.
No, I thought I'd drive down there myself and get it. Take the kids on vacation.
There's always one on an auction somewhere.
Yeah. I've never seen one of those on an auction. I've seen the two-post ones, and
This was 2 posts.
yeah. And the two-post ones you gotta bolt to your floor, and they're permanent. This one here, the one thing I like,
Anchoring underneath the floor.
yeah, and then the thing I like about this one is the fact that I can roll it out of the way into the corner when I'm not using it. It's got a little jack thing where it jacks the tires up underneath the little wheels, you can roll it around and stuff.
So was it the same engineer that designed access to that as it did the headlights on the Malibu then?
My guess is the same sadistic son of a gun. I'm fairly mechanically inclined, and I needed to put a new dim headlight bulb in my Malibu, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. So finally, I Googled it, and I got some middle-aged Mexican fella down where the dirt was red somewhere, and he goes, and now we're going to show you how easy it is to put a headlight bulb, but you got to remove the whole front end of the car. And after the end of the
No kidding.
video, he goes, it's as simple as that. Poor Chevy, I think Chevy was well, I called him over here, the Chevy dealer. I says, what do you guys get for putting a headlight bulb in a Malibu? Oh, I think he said $40 plus the bulb.
Must
I
have
says,
special tools.
I says, evidently, evidently you guys are kind of taking one for the team on this. He goes, yeah, a little bit. Because at their labor rate, there ain't no way.
They can be a flat rate.
Yeah, I suppose if you get really good at it, you could do it relatively fast if you did it over and over again. But
How much was that compressor then that you put in? Just the compressor, what'd you pay for that?
$160.
So I had $700 over there.
How much was yours?
It was $800 and some dollars. I don't know how much the compressor
Oh,
itself,
okay.
the whole thing.
A lot of it would be labor.
Mhm.
Well, that and just hooking up to their machine, their air conditioner with recaptures, freon, and all that stuff. I think just if they have a flat fee for hooking up to that, that's like $80 or $100 right up front.
Yeah.
Well, it's 9 o'clock. We stand to say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody get a chance to look at the minutes and the agenda.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
I'll second that.
Got a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to approve the minutes and agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 9:02 a.m., Heidi Fetters, Relay for Life, to discuss with possible action using courthouse grounds for Relay for Life for June 26, 2021.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yep, so like in previous years, we are planning on doing our Relay for Life activity. This year is much more downscaled since we can't really have a large event. So really the use of the grounds would just be putting some sponsorship signs on that west side of the street on Clark Street. And then we are having Hy-Vee bring their food truck up to park on J Street. We're not going to be putting any tables or anything on the courthouse ground. It would be more if people just put their own chairs and kind of used it as a gathering ground. So very minimal to what we've done in previous years. The event would start about 5, run till 8, 9 o'clock, depending on if we can get fireworks again this year. There's apparently a shortage. So,
Shortage.
They
Of
just started
everything.
selling today.
yeah, apparently a tanker went off the coast of
Oh my gosh.
California or something. So they're all sitting down there.
Ooh.
Oh,
So.
it sank, you mean?
Yeah, it
Oh,
sank.
wonderful.
A cargo ship with them. So
They're not gonna dry out in time, are they?
probably not.
No, yeah, I imagine that salt water be a little tough on them.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a good project again.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the use of the courthouse grounds for Relay for Life on June 26, 2021.
I'll second that.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the use of the courthouse grounds for Relay for Life on June 26, 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Heidi.
I'm printing a thing for you to sign.
Oh, perfect.
I wanted to take with you, so give me just a second here.
We need to stamp it.
I saw the girls were making all the bags again.
Oh yes, very busy.
Amazing.
Very busy. So hopefully it's good weather.
Have they said how the sales have been going?
They're good so far. They're ramping up more sales. Hy-Vee will start selling them here this month. So
Nice.
Can you sign that one, and then you can take this one home with you.
yes, right here.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
Thanks, Carla.
I had the wrong pickup and my compressors and I was getting my coffee on the way there.
Oh, wonderful.
It's that kind of morning.
Yeah.
Discussion with possible action regarding COVID-19 policies, including possibly extending or letting policies expire. Julie, are you on with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, Julie.
You guys wanted numbers about how it would affect my employees. There's actually 4 employees out of 7 that it would affect right now, but I do have a list of their vacations from now until December because we all can't take vacation at the same time. We need to have people here in the office. And I don't know if you want to do case by case, and we work it that way, and just between the payroll and Chelsea and myself to get everybody pretty much under that 240 for not losing any vacation time.
Well,
That was, I just had a nurse she'll be back today. She took 2 weeks off, so she's pretty good. I took some hours off this time, but it's the ones that have been here the longest that accumulate as much as they do when they're gone. And now, for myself, I am taking another week off in July and then 10 days again in August, and then I should be good. Allison's taking 10 days in July and another 7 days in August. My other nurse, she will be on medical, and if she gets done with medical, then she's going to be taking time off in July, September, and then also in November, she's taking, a week and a half. And my other nurse, is taking sporadically, so they're not, because I can't have all the nurses gone at the same time. And Allison and I are trying to not be gone at the same time. So in case something would happen, we have one of us here.
I guess what I would wanna know, how backlogged are we on the vacation time and time off?
Well, we have, 240, and then after that, every pay period now, they've been paying the people that are over 240 the difference. Allison right now is at 238, but she's taking some time off here sporadically in June, so that will help. I just took some time off, which brought mine down to, hold on, I can tell you what brought mine down to. Brought mine down to 215. And then my other nurse that's going to be on medical, that will be the only one that it will affect because she cannot take vacation for medical purposes. And she actually is sitting at 240 right now. She did take some vacation a day, but every pay period she earns half a day and she takes a day. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Can you explain it a little bit easier, Carla? And it's just how long she's been here. You get to accumulate. Like I've been here 16 years, so I get every pay period 6 hours of vacation.
All right.
So to keep it under 240, I have to take at least 6 hours during that 2 week time. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. And when she's on medical, Chelsea says we can't use vacation for medical leave. It has to be our sick time.
And the reason.
And she could be out anywhere from excuse me. Excuse me. She could be anywhere out from 3 weeks to 6 weeks. We won't know until after she has her checkup afterwards.
And the reason all these hours are banked up, is it because of COVID,
COVID.
or is it just
Yeah.
happening because you guys couldn't take any time off in the last year?
Yes, both, Bill.
Well, what are we gonna do for this month then?
Well, I think we could probably let it expire for the most part, but except for they're a different animal down there, and the reasons they have to be there, I hate to.
Can we do it that way?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the
I
question.
don't think my Galloway would.
Most likely
say we
not.
can.
We got to treat all departments the same.
Other than they are their own board down there too.
Yeah.
Well, we're not. So if we extend this for 2 more months, would you get everybody's vacation, or would you get there to a point where you could function, Julie?
Let's see here.
She was talking about some of them taking time off in September yet, if I remember right.
Right. And that's just the gal who's on medical. And if she doesn't have to take 6 weeks for medical, then we were going to have her take some vacation. And actually, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sporadically. I think if we could go through August, we would be pretty much okay. And we can revisit it again here each month, because there's some here, because I have a spreadsheet of when people are taking time off. Some are taking them, and it all depends on when those days land in the pay period too. But some of them will be all right, and it's just really us four. So I don't know if you want to just revisit again next month
Or,
and keep going, because I'll know more after, because she leaves for medical on the 7th, so next Monday.
or should we just extend it for down there and let the chips fall where they may? If somebody wants to grump about it, then we'll have to change it again.
Because I believe in that, isn't it, Carla, in that policy you have that we are the only department for the holiday, for the vacation?
Yeah. If we extend it this month, we can have Kelsey look at it and draw something up to just make
Well,
it.
either that or just, I mean, if some other department wants to make a big issue out of it, then we'll just have to change it, I guess. But if nobody does, then we'll be fine.
Well, if it's only affecting them, if it's already in place just for them, then it shouldn't be a big issue. What other COVID policies are we renewing that are possibly,
The daycare and the, how they have to be gone and how they have to be, they get those extra hours. That's basically all it is.
Has that been anybody using that for
I would
months?
think it's not gonna affect anybody too much at this point.
If we can eliminate those, or I guess we can leave them in place if nobody's using them until,
I mean, yeah, if nobody's taking advantage of it, then we can leave it. But, I mean, the thing is if someone's, I hope there's nobody like that at the county, but,
It'd be pretty hard to have to prove you had it.
You have to get the proper paperwork, otherwise you don't get to use those hours anyway, so.
yeah.
well,
so to simplify, we could just leave it all in.
so renew it for one more month.
Yeah,
All right.
Well,
That seems
is that
like-
your motion then?
I'll make the motion to leave it as is for another month and revisit it.
I'll second it.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jenswell to renew the COVID policies for one more month. We'll look at it in another month. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Julie.
Have a good day.
You too.
Discussion with possible action, bank options for health savings accounts.
So I just asked all the employees for their thoughts, and most people just said, they want to be able to use the banks in the county. I did have a couple people who wanted to use an online option, and so I guess,
So the discussion on the online option was that it would make more work for,
what Brittany said is she's heard that it's hard to get payments from the online options, and that it's just easier for the payroll person if there's one bank, or,
Hard to get payments.
yes. Hard to get reimbursed.
For the employee.
Yeah.
Filing.
so I think that could be easily eliminated,
And
really.
there are,
That's kind of the employee's problem though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Other than the fact it's a little more complicated for payroll, you said?
I don't know if it's necessarily more complicated or not. I mean,
don't know
once
yet.
once it's set up, I wouldn't think it would be that big of a deal. I don't know.
So some counties do only one bank even,
Some,
or
yes.
some entities do only one bank. And that would probably simplify it further for,
I
don't think.
I
would go
don't
there.
I don't really care. I think it's, like I said, I always push for, using the ones in the county, but I've also heard there's fees with the ones in the county, so I don't know. Do you have an opinion?
Only one that I actually have concrete facts on is from MBT, and they said that they're planning to start charging a fee of $20 or $30 a year, and their interest rates are like 0.4% for a normal balance, I'd call it, and then they grow slightly as you get into 10, 20, 30,000 in balance, but so I didn't think it was too great. Your interest and your fees would probably offset, otherwise it would just sit there. So it's okay for a savings account, I guess, but if you're trying to have that money grow or anything, wouldn't be a very effective option. So I thought trying to find an online bank that was good would be my best option personally. And I'd take whatever the next few months to research that until I can contribute.
I was gonna say, are there any that are any better? I mean, I can't believe that any bank is paying a high interest rate right now.
Well, the one that I sent Carla is one that Lindsay had at a prior job, and any balance over 2,000, you could move to kind of a mutual funds account. So I thought that was provoking, I guess.
Yeah, but then in a mutual fund account, you also have the risk that it may not pay interest at all.
Sure, that's
Could lose it.
a risk I'm willing to take.
There you go.
Instead of 0.3.
Or zero, you know, yeah. If I can get my balance up that high anyway, you know, but.
So
Well,
you had a point, it is really kind of the employee's problem, issue, you know, if they're not paying or.
yeah, I mean, once the amounts gotten to the employee's HSA, the county's responsibility are kind of washed. I would think. My hope was that the employee could choose from any bank.
It's kind of a new thing for us to try and, decipher it first time over.
And me with a different bank, I'm personally, I would rather spend that $30 and have it here locally in banks that do things for the area. It is a little more attractive if you can get it into a mutual fund, like you said, to where the interest rate is a little better, then the decision's a little different. But up until that point, I mean, the area businesses are what pay all of our wages in a sense, that, the taxpayers in general, I guess. And when I'm making a decision, yeah, could I maybe get a cheaper interest rate for my mortgage than I do at the Buffalo Bank? Probably, but I would rather see those people have that extra money, because the odds of them spending it in this area are a lot better than the big banks or Fannie Mae or any of those. It's kind of a self-feeding thing. You keep the money in the area and it kind of circulates.
I don't see a lot of online banks giving to our charities in the area.
No, I have not. I've never gone to a ball game somewhere and seen a non-local bank on the bottle of water you buy there. The name, so it's.
Don't see
So
them.
is it Chelsea that would be doing that?
Yeah,
Does she have any input on how it would affect,
it's,
it's just another task.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the employees are gonna love the HSA. I think that was a good thing.
Have we had quite a few that have switched over in their enrollment, or you don't know yet?
I don't know that.
I think we have at least 4 in our department.
Once one person starts talking it up, then they kind of understand.
Right, we've been blabbing about it a lot.
Yeah.
It's really an advantage for young, healthy people.
I think it's more than that.
Your odds of not needing things are a lot better, so.
It doesn't matter, I don't think. I've done the cost if I was a 60-year-old man and had prescriptions and everything, and it still looks better to me.
You saw mine? Because I'm switching over.
Are you?
made sense for me.
The Health Partners has a really nice tool online that you can just put in whatever you have and it tells you what your
It
annual cost
wasn't,
is.
it wasn't perfect because it didn't give me the medication I needed,
Hmm.
but I had it close and then I just kind of guesstimated from there. So, I guess I'm more like Bill, I'd like to support our local, financial agencies because they support us, they support the community.
They have that money that's in the bank and they're borrowing it to people in the area, things like that. So
I guess I see your points and if that's how you wanna do it, but it's actually the employee's money, so I think the employee should get to choose where they wanna do it, but, you know.
no, there's merit to that. It's,
But if you do keep them all, I think just the local banks as well, county banks.
Also had someone request the credit union that's in Lake Mills to be used, so don't.
Someone did,
It's
Yeah.
in the county.
yeah, it's, can't have a big problem with that. It's,
They support all the local stuff.
Maybe another thing to mention is kind of convenience factor if some of the people bank outside the county. To have your HSA and your bank accounts all kind of on the same portal is kind of nice.
yeah.
Not the way I was gonna go, but for some people it would be.
But my guess is that even when they bank outside the county, it's probably not with a bank that's in another state. It might be in Garner, or, you know, it's,
Possibly.
We have a lot of different banks that we,
Is that right?
yes,
really.
yep.
I
People,
mean, I only recently closed my Fort Dodge bank account because, no, that's where I banked when I lived there, but don't need it anymore, but I could have held on to that because it was better maybe. You know, so I'm sure there's situations like that out there.
And they're only gonna have the opportunity to change this, like, so it won't be a lot of switching around for the county, for Chelsea, right?
usually once they set up, they don't, there's a handful of people who change their banks all the time, which is, I don't understand that.
Maybe
But-
that's where you could put a rule on.
What Brittany also said is like, the rule that makes the most sense is that you can't come in 1 month and say, okay, now this month I want $50 out. This month I want $100 out. This month I want 200. This month I want 50.
Yeah.
So make it so
has
they
to
can
be
only
standard.
change like every 6 months or every year. Or-
Every 6 months, because then that gives you the choice on enrollment and calendar year for taxes and stuff like that.
And I would be fine with 6 months. I don't want people changing every month.
Like mine, I can't
That's
even
too
go
much.
into it till the first of the year,
Right.
so I'll be sitting with an HSA without money in it and winging it until the first of the year when I put a little in.
Well, I think those restrictions can easily be put on it, you know, and you guys would know better how difficult it is to move it around. If you're saying 6 months, that makes,
Mhm.
Would that be part of this motion, or is that a different policy we have to address?
I think we'll have to address that at a later time, but something I wanted to bring up.
so just bank options right now.
Mhm.
and I don't wanna tell anybody where they can bank. But at the same time, I would highly suggest that they try to do as much business as locally as possible, because just out of respect for who pays the taxes in the county.
That didn't sound like a motion,
It wasn't.
it sounded like a politician's.
Yeah, it sounds like one of that wobbling, this balancing on the fence things there. But,
Well, I'd make the motion that the bank options are open with highly suggesting that we use, local banks when possible,
And credit unions.
and credit unions.
It's hard to believe. Not everybody agrees. I'll second that.
Got a motion from Smith and a second from Jensel to allow the employee to use the bank of their choice, I guess is the way it is.
Yeah.
But highly encouraging it to be a local bank. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Let's see.
Putting that money in your HSA?
Next month, right? Or do you start now?
Um,
Can you start on June pay period,
I don't think so. I think it's,
fiscal year?
depends on, I would assume it would be an IRS rule that when you actually start the HSA is when you can start the bank account.
I would suppose, yeah.
Yeah. Scott Minders, engineer, will discuss for secondary road matters.
Yeah, main thing I wanted to bring up today, I sent out a tile crossing policy, so I wanted to get some thoughts on that before we do too much. Hancock County approved a tile crossing policy that pays for half of the cost up to $2,500 and then $350 for each intake. So the landowner would pay for the remaining 50%. The reason that counties have policies like this is because if you look in the drainage code in section, chapter 4, whatever it is, deep in the sections it says for putting tiles across other people's land, you need to get an engineer's report, do a public hearing, and do some of these more formal procedures that we do for some larger drainage district projects. And so counties have this policy to kind of bypass and speed up that process, and then the landowner has, their portion to pay. Historically, in Winnebago County, we have tried to install those crossings ourselves with our own crew. The timeline doesn't always work for everybody, so sometimes we'll try and make a deal with the contractor who's already there and do a cost share. I think the general perception is that the county should pay for that portion, and they should be there the day after they call. So it's a challenge because, it's a day's worth of work, sometimes a little more to put in a tile crossing. And, with our workload, it's hard to just, meet that expectation. So this kind of gives us an option to offer as kind of like standard issue. If you want to do a tile crossing, here's what the rule is. If you don't like it, then you can go through the process with the engineer's report and the public hearings and everything, and we'll pay for the part across the road right away. Or we can try and put it in our workload with our crew and try and estimate a schedule. But this just gives a good option so that Ethan and I and the board would be all on the same page about what we could offer kind of today. Somebody approached us and said, I need a tile crossing. I was doing some tiling, and we found that the only place to go is to cross the road to the neighborhood tile or the drainage district tiles across the road or whatever the situation might be. Thought it was a good opportunity, seeing how bordering county had a policy that looked approachable. Maybe we could try and match it or do something similar. Throwing a lot at you, but
This is for instance, if you have a tile repair where you're placing a tile through a road also as part of a project. Would it affect that?
As part of the drainage district project?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Those are, already have the reports on file and everything's already been determined and everything like that. So I would think,
This is for a new crossing.
well, there are times where we get brand new tile crossings where, a little bit of pattern tile in the corner they're not able to go over the hills into the rest of the tile system. So it's like that. Other times farmers will trace tile problems to the road right away. And, I think then the problem's under the road, some tile that we don't have any documentation for. It could probably work for that. Sometimes those are a little less urgent because the tile is somewhat working, but maybe they've found that it's broken under the road or it's in really bad condition or rusted out. A lot of the old ones are metal. Could have a little more time to address that. So I think it's probably two things, yeah. New tile crossings and repairing non-drainage district tile crossings.
So you're gonna charge the drainage district $1,000 to cut through the road.
Not the drainage district, no. Secondary roads would cover drainage district tile crossings.
So this is just if it
Or no,
doesn't belong to
private.
a drainage district and somebody just wants a,
Private
You
crossing.
gotta take me for what I mean, not what I said.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's just like you got a private tile, he wants to take it through the road. He is gonna have $1,000 expense to cut through the road.
I don't know what it would be, that could be.
Wasn't that what, you sent an email on this, right? Did you?
Yes, I don't think I had a specific situation.
Yeah, it seems like it was, or was it Hancock's that had the $1,000, is that what it was? It seems like I read that somewhere.
I don't remember
I
that.
don't remember that either.
Maybe I'm misremembering.
We had a tile crossing we kind of applied this concept to early this spring that Helgeson's installed for Thorson, yep, and maybe he paid about that amount, I can't remember. Anyway,
That was just with an agreement with him.
yeah, we had this draft that I'd gotten from Jeremy in Hancock County, and I was trying to think, would this work for Helgeson's to put in? And, so we arranged a reimbursement system with Thorson, and it was kind of like this, however, we were just kind of,
So you
we
just
just made a
want,
deal.
you
with
just
it.
want to set a precedent and have a policy in place for the futures.
Yep, share it with tile contractors so they can, tell landowners, here's what the county can offer without having to call us each time and saying, hey, what's the deal here? Do you guys want to do it? Do we want to do it? What can the landowner get, or can you reimburse us? Or, every time it's kind of like show up on site 2-3 times too and trying to figure out a deal. I don't know. I think it could be better to set expectations.
So explain to me again the difference between, like you said, up to $2,500 would be the county's cost.
50% up to 2,500.
Okay,
So they would just get a quote from the contractor, let's say, and it's $2,000 or $3,000. Let's say it's $2,000. Okay, so then after the bill comes to them, they would submit the $2,000 bill to us, and we would pay 1,000. 50%.
so if it was $3,000, they would, you would pay,
Yeah,
Up to 2,500.
1,500.
$1,200.
If it was 5,000, we'd pay 2,500. If it was 6,000,
Oh.
we would still pay 2,500. Which,
up to $2,500 out of our pocket.
right? That's how I understand it.
Anything beyond that is gonna be the landowners.
Yeah, and it would be quite rare to get.
And does
into
that
the
allow
final.
them at that time to hire the contractor to get it done?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you talking about if your county crew did it on your time.
then we would just cover the cost.
Okay.
But it's the timeline that doesn't seem to work with some people. It's been the past where contractor gets to the road and we would say, hold up, we're not willing to pay your inflated cost. We'll do it ourselves for cheaper. And then it might sit for a little while because we can't just, pull off another job in the middle of summer. We have both machines on a bridge replacement or whatever, so I think it gives them a good option to improve their timeline.
So the county's average cost when they do it themselves must be about $2,500, huh?
It really varies, I don't know.
That's it, size of the tile, depends on.
Yeah, and we've been using PVC for some, and that's expensive compared to dual wall or.
More so this year. This year's been higher. Like everything else.
I think it's a good idea to have something in place, whether those numbers are the best numbers.
I think it's a starting point.
It gives them a choice. If they want to continue with the project right now and get it done, they can pay the price to get it done. If they want to wait and make the county do it themselves, then they have to wait for your schedule. That's
Yeah.
basically what it does.
So we're complying with code while working something out with.
Yeah, they always have the option to do the formal process. And I don't expect that to ever be the case, really. I mean, it's gonna feel like red tape. The other thing is, the policy says we'll set a budget at the beginning of the year, and let's say we have $10,000 in there, and there's 4 tile crossings we pay $2,500 for, and we run out of money. According to the policy, we would tell the next guy, when the money's available, we can pay you the reimbursement, but until it's there, so you have to wait till the next fiscal year. We kind of control the process a little bit so that we wouldn't get 5, 6, 7, 10 crossings in a year and really blow through a lot of budget that way.
So this also would apply to the private crossings that are already there then? If there's a problem in the
I
road?
think it could, yeah. That's quite frequent too, that they'll just be potholing around in the field trying to find a problem and dig on the other side of the road and it's working, and on their side of the road it's not. So it's under the road. And that's the same decision point at that point. Okay, my contractor's here, can he just dig across the road? Or does he go home and wait for the county to do it in a month?
Well, I think having something like this as a starting point would be good.
Are we gonna have to approve every time one of those comes through,
No,
or
that
is
would
that
just
just
a-
something
that
that's
would-
going through
It
the?
eliminates that, kind of.
Right.
Yeah, they probably adopt that permit application by resolution with all the conditions in it, and then that's the board agreeing, here's kind of the rules. And the way it was sent to me, it had a signature block for the engineer to approve it within those confines.
The only way we'd be involved is if it was outside of the parameters of that resolution.
Yeah, unless you wanted to write it in that,
Kind of like the culvert policy. There's a policy in place for the culverts in driveways,
yeah,
how often you can have them, or just actually driveway policy.
Where they can be.
Yeah, where they can be, how often, and once in a while, we'll get an appeal to allow a waiver on that.
I think once you've tweaked that one that you're looking at, and make it fit however it needs to fit for our county, then makes sense to me.
Okay.
Options.
I don't know how he got to his dollar amounts really.
Yeah, that's just the part that I was kind of questioning, whether you could do any research as far as,
What's your average,
What
what you estimate your cost to do it yourselves at?
Well, just this one in this spring, how much was that one?
Could look it up. I can't remember offhand. Typically, this I think would apply to probably 6 or 8 inch tiles at the most, so they're not real big, and mostly on gravel roads where we're,
Unless we had an improvement for a county tile, usually they're not that big.
6, 8 feet in the ground too, so nothing real crazy. But I could look that up. I don't know do you think there's
Did she send me an email on it?
probably did. It's been a little while ago already.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if, let's say the crossing's 10,000, but the county be okay paying the 5? Do we need to limit? I don't know.
Well, and when you get into the disputes like that, that's when it would end up before the board to make decisions on.
Sure, anything above a threshold goes to the
That's what you
board.
could put into that verbiage.
Yeah,
It all makes sense as long as you figure out the numbers, thresholds, you know,
yeah. I mean, I think the objection's gonna be from the landowners, hey, shouldn't you be paying the whole cost? So, I mean, if we're willing to say, yeah, we will pay the full cost,
But
but
we're
on
gonna
our
do
own
it
terms,
ourselves.
on our own terms,
it's
yeah.
happened
And
time, you know, where you have a contractor in your field, you just want it done,
Yeah,
you know, the corn is dying.
I have sympathy for that situation,
Yes.
so this provides an option.
this would provide an option where they're gonna have a little skin in the game themselves. And if they disagree with what you've decided, then they can bring it before the board.
Yeah.
And,
I'm finding it.
Because the contractor will be standing right there and be able to give them an estimate, sort of.
Yeah.
They're gonna know whether it's gonna cost them $1,000 or $5,000, and whether they wanna wait or not.
before the project starts.
Yeah, we'll have to have all that kind of documented before we make the agreement, you know, have all that stuff written down and signatures from everybody, and so they know exactly what they're getting into. Right now, it's kind of verbal agreements, and that makes me uncomfortable, especially with multiple people who could make the deal, Ethan or me, or we gotta be on the same page too, I guess. This helps. So I could draw it up with our logo and Winnebago County for Hancock County and play with the language a little bit and bring it back to you.
I think that'd be good. Let's look at it.
Good idea.
Okay, well, good on that. The only other thing I had today to mention was we're getting started on mowing shoulders today. So I'm sure that's something you guys have noticed. The grass is getting tall all of a sudden, but paved road shoulders will be starting to mow today.
Trying to think where I saw it. I don't know if it was south of Lake Mills by a curve or something, some big hole. I don't know if it's down by Peterson's, south of the Rice Lake Blacktop, or on the Rice Lake Blacktop going around the curve.
Yeah,
I wonder if it was there before I got to the Choice Blacktop.
wash out on that.
There's a piece of blacktop missing
Yeah,
on the apron.
I know where you're talking.
It's horrible.
It's not very deep, but we need to fix it.
It's sharp.
Hmm.
And then there was a drop off in the shoulder too, so.
We experimented with some pothole patch materials last week, and we thought that was gonna be a good spot for it, but it's just too expensive, so we'll just use our normal pothole patch and get it fixed. Should have good weather this week. If it's dry, they hold much better, so we'll get it fixed this week. Probably today. Fix it today.
Did you get a chance to look at 150th south of R50?
When I talked to Ethan about it, he thought it was on the map, but it wasn't. So he was gonna look into it and give you a call.
Because we got rock past his dad's place.
He thought that he thought it might have been greasy because they used the disc on the shoulders on that road, and so they pulled some material to the middle that would have been maybe a little dirty. And then he said they spot rocked the dust controls.
So there was a pile on the side, west side, that high, holding the water from getting off the road in several areas. And it was greasy beside. Couldn't see any rock on it. And last year I was asking for rock on, portions of that road and never got any. So I know it's been a couple years.
Okay, I didn't look to see the last time it had, but
All I know is I avoid that road. It's that bad when it's wet. I took a level B road instead because it wasn't quite as bad. And it's not bad south of 400th, but north up to Shutters, it's bad. So if I
wouldn't want it to look like favoritism, put new rock by the superintendent's dad's place, would we? Just joking, but
That's
No,
why
he
we're
was
all
gonna-
here is to get favoritism.
no, he was gonna look into it more and give you a call. And
Well, the part that got rocked is the part that usually gets oiled too, so I'm guessing. you're
that's
trying
what
to
they were
pack
doing.
that in.
That's what they were doing. They spotted all this. They spot loaded all the parts that were gonna be dust controlled, because that'll be happening here real soon.
That's the question I have. Do you have, the names of some dust control companies? Somebody asked me that.
Yeah, there's usually only two that do very much. Dino's Dust Control from Mason City and Freeborn Cooperative from Albert Lake.
So how does that work with dust control and the road maintenance?
So if you wanted dust control by your house, you would contact a dust control applicator and hire them to do it. Through the process, you would fill out a permit that would go to them, and then they would submit them all together. And so we would have a list of people who wanted dust control. And we work with those applicators for timing, and before they show up, we would lose the windrow and blade it up as good as we can right before they show up, so when they get there and lock it all down, it's in as good a shape as it can be. We'll also spread rock through there sometimes before they get there with the dust control too. Kind of separate from normal operations. Sometimes we use a finer rock too for that. But once they come through and put the dust control down, then we won't blade it unless it gets real pothole. Or after September 15th or whenever we need to kind of shape it up for winter. So the landowner pays the contractor to do it and the permit fees.
Do you know what it typically is for a foot?
I want to say it's like 300 or 400 feet for a typical, or excuse me, $300 or $500 for like a typical residence. Do I want to guess? I don't know what it is a foot, maybe 50 cents a foot? Something like that. Sometimes we'll treat our pit roads, so, but it's been a little while since I've seen that invoice for it.
So do they use apple juice now, or what do they use?
Tree sap and
Is
some
it
of
tree
them.
sap?
I think lignin sulfite is what you're saying, it's the darker color, but I think more commonly they use calcium chloride or magnesium chloride.
Oh.
It doesn't show up near as well, and so sometimes we'll accidentally miss it and blade through it. But that's chloride. I think you can kind of order whatever you want, or even, I think Dino's offers kind of a blended material.
So which do you think is better? I'm just asking for personal.
It's not something I really ever paid too close attention to.
Okay.
Seems like the darker stuff holds better up.
It seems like it to me, but then also you notice it better because of the darker stuff too, so it's, I've been through some places where it was lighter and the dust was less, but it seemed like there was still a fair amount of dust. But maybe it was also wore out by that time too, I can't remember.
Yeah. For people whose houses are pretty close to the road, I think it's,
Well, we're.
yeah, I think so.
So did you go out and check that new field driveway, or did Ethan that I put in and see what that was?
He was out there Friday and looked at it, he couldn't figure out what it was, so he did one call, and
Okay.
we'll have to
There was
dig
a
it up.
little washout in the road just near that new field driveway, and I didn't know what it was, just kind of a hole about that big.
Didn't look like there was any tile or culverts there, so it's kind of
Yeah.
a mystery at this point. We'll have to
Okay.
dig, we'll have
Well,
to dig it
I
up.
thought Jeremy would have known if he.
Yeah, Ethan said the driveway looked fine and everything, so we closed out your permit.
Mhm.
Just have to dig it up. Sometimes we'll fill them in for a while and see if they come back to, in case they're animal holes or something like that. But
Okay.
Seems to be a lot of those right now.
Mhm.
that's all I have.
Did you, on 50th, where you guys repaired that, dredge ditch,
Mhm.
that was, is the ditch of the road.
Mhm.
One of the people that drives over there all the time says that your repair is already sloughing in some.
Well,
So,
then,
which, I mean, it's just, you know, when you got such a steep bank, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, without piling it out into the ditch and creating a, I don't know how you would get it to stay very, very good.
Well, it's not very easy.
No, I would guess not, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you guys
Need to
get
recheck
by
it.
there, take a look at it and see what you think, so. And then did you, can't remember if you told me last time.
trees.
The trees by Ray, you guys gotta look at them.
He looked at them, he said they aren't near the tiles. It doesn't look like they'd be affecting the tile, and they're kind of some right on the fence line, in and out,
Yeah, it's right on it, yeah.
so I think we'll probably leave them unless
Somebody
you
wants-
guys give us a hard directive to take them down. We probably have to take a
Well, as long as they're,
excavator out there and then haul the trees away and all that.
yeah, no, I mean, as long as they're not affecting the tile, they don't seem to be affecting much else.
Yeah.
Other than if you went in the ditch there, you really wouldn't wanna hit
Yeah.
them, but,
So no, I'd rather they weren't there, but
yeah.
I think we'll leave them for now, unless they.
So if the farmer wants them out of there bad enough, could he pay for part of it to get them out of there? I mean,
Farmer that owns that land's from Minnesota, so we don't care. Yeah, no, yeah, I would imagine it.
We would never object to anybody cutting trees out of the ditch, frankly.
And if they thought it was your responsibility, what would you?
They could call us and we could tell them the same answer, and then if they push the issue, I guess they maybe ask you guys if you wanted us to do that. You know, it's kind of
Other,
something that would go on the lower on the priority list, and so will we get there in a timely manner? Depends on, you know, what you guys think, probably.
I mean, what are they? Probably not 100 yards from probably only about 50 yards from the main, isn't it, what they would be?
I think Ethan told me it'd be like a couple 100 feet. Yeah,
All right, yeah.
So,
Well, the main seems to be flowing good, so I'm guessing it didn't plug it yet, but that main is overwhelmed. It doesn't need anything else slowing it down, so.
Anything else for roads?
Chris isn't here. Chris isn't here.
Oh, that's right, she did say she wasn't gonna be here. Hey, do we have anything more for drainage? Chris there.
What's that?
Chris isn't here, so do we have anything for drainage,
Oh, no, not that I can think of.
other than we're gonna discuss tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Chris will be here tomorrow.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right, tomorrow's meeting.
I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that private tile issue or if you want to wait till she comes back.
You're
You,
gonna need to know what her
all
input
right,
on
see you,
that.
Scott,
Yeah.
thanks.
thank you guys.
I
We
think,
can talk about it.
I think she's getting it straightened out the way it sounded. She got a new map from the engineer. The first one wasn't correct. And that's where it kind of threw her off a little bit, that it was, I don't know if you remember the map from last week. It really wasn't perfectly represented. I guess
It was hard to
the
understand.
point I had made to her is the way it sounded, the original private tile crossed the road, but not the railroad, so that's where it had tied into the DD-11, the original DD-11. So there's always outletting into or the lat 11, excuse me, DD-18 lat 11. So it's always been there. So instead of crossing the road still and tying up down there, now it's getting into the new tile above the road.
Above it.
So it's not, in my opinion, they didn't really do anything wrong.
Except if he's not gonna put that in the district, then he needs to pay for where he connected from.
Right. He does.
Yeah.
That should be billed, I think.
Do we know what the reasoning was that he didn't want it in the district, like he was saying that day in here? We don't know.
We don't know. It could be the other people just didn't want their bureaucracy.
That could be.
That's usually the way it is. Not that we're bureaucratic or anything.
Well,
We just
if
have
they
to play
wanted
by the
to-
rules.
We play
If
by
they
the
wanted
rules.
to do something to that section, then they wouldn't have to go through, they could just go out
Right.
and do it, because it's private tile, so.
And the
But
only,
so there'll be a cost involved, a personal cost to them if they don't put it in.
well, either way, they're paying for it.
Well, the whole district will.
But if it goes in, then it'll be, I'm trying to figure out how it's gonna work. Okay, so you've got the original lat 11 that comes down, the old clay tile hooks into it. You've got the concrete tile that hooks into it. And so you're billing out the original lat 11, which, you know, everybody outlets into. So these people are still in that private tile, they're still paying for their portion, even though they abandoned it. So they're paying for it. But then they're also paying for their private tile hookup. Just that little section. And they'll also be paying for the jetting of the old lat 11. So I guess, in my opinion, nothing was done wrong.
It's just how they want it. If it wants to stay.
So I guess my question was, functionally, since we've already passed the motion to,
We have to rescind it somehow, I guess, but that's not on the agenda.
it's not on the agenda now, but
Yeah.
we need to find out, do we need to rescind this to stop the process?
Right.
And I imagine Rick's been notified that that's gonna stop.
Yeah, I think they've
Tentatively.
been talking, but
That would be the thing that would really mess it up, is if he'd already been out there and got some money invested in it.
Because if we felt like we needed to do that, we could do it tomorrow, following this other meeting, add it to the agenda for tomorrow.
Yeah,
But until we hear more from Doug, I suppose.
Right. I was just,
He did officially,
as
he
long as,
did ask for it, so.
but did he officially send an email?
We don't know.
saying they want it stopped,
yeah,
I think so.
I got
Yeah,
an
he did
email on it.
eventually. I think he called first and then sent an email, right?
Yeah. So,
Morning.
So we could put it on the agenda tomorrow maybe, or not?
Or there's no real race.
No.
well, as
nothing.
long as the engineer isn't racking up costs.
Well, no, yeah, as long as
That's
the
the only
engineers,
concern
the
I
main
have.
thing we can do is make sure the
Well,
engineers.
Chris has been talking to him the whole time,
Okay.
so I'm
So
not
I would
worried about
assume
that.
he's,
We're on hold at least.
We're on
All right.
hold.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you can wait till next week.
Okay. Well, I didn't have anything else for drainage.
Nope, neither.
Set final public hearing for DD 11 main tile improvement project.
She wants it 6/29/21 at 9:30 a.m.
Say that one more time.
6/29/21 at 9:30 a.m.
that's my birthday. Can't do anything that day. Is that a Tuesday?
Just bring cake.
Must be.
Do I have to bring cake?
You have to bring something.
Yeah,
I bring rolls.
yeah, I was gonna say, the rolls would be a lot easier.
You better call Sally.
Yeah, really.
Or pies would work. Now we're talking.
Either way.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Strawberry pie.
All right, so I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for DD 11 main tile improvement project for June 29th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m.
I'll second it.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Jens Wolf to set the public hearing for DD 11 main tile improvement project for June 29th at 9:30 a.m. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Open forum.
I have something. I just wanted to let you know I have a chance to go to Property Records Industry Association has their, every year they have an annual conference. And it's in Milwaukee this year, so that's fairly close and drivable. So there's a few county recorders that are gonna try to go to that, and we can carpool. And I just wanted to let you know, because it's kind of not something we do every year, because sometimes it's California or Arizona, or, out east. But it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of recorders from all over the nation, so you can kind of bounce ideas off each other and just learn some new things, so.
You said Milwaukee,
Mhm.
feel safe.
I don't know.
Depends on what part of
good question.
Milwaukee it's in, maybe.
Yeah, if it's a suburb, maybe probably okay. All right,
But yeah, it ends up costing me, well, the fee for me to go is about close to $400, and then hotel and mileage, so. Since we haven't been traveling a whole lot, I've got a little cushion there, so.
That's great,
Yeah.
You must feel that the knowledge you're gonna gain is gonna be worth
Worth
the
it, I hope
effort.
so, yeah.
You'll know afterwards, huh?
They had it in Iowa about 3-4 years ago, and it was really, really a good conference. A lot of interesting things some new things going on out there.
how many days is it?
It's 3.5.
And if you can carpool and go with some friends, that would be,
Yeah, that makes it a little easier and
Yeah.
cheaper.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else for open forum?
I'd like to find out from Robert Schwartz what parts of the county they are gonna spray for those weeds, because I thought it'd be fun to drive past and see if there's changes and stuff, so maybe I can call in and just find out where it is that they're going to spray.
Yeah.
They're really coming. Blooming, growing. Wish there was something we could do about them.
Just nothing else, private landowner can go out, get them themselves too.
I have done that to the road ditches between our home place and where I'm building, tried to get them down.
Anything else for open forum?
Weeds.
Okay.
Nope.
Consider for approval semi-monthly county claims.
Did you sign it?
Make a motion to approve the semi-monthly county claims.
I'll second that.
Got a motion from Jensvold, second from Smith to approve the semi-monthly county claims. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. We stand adjourned.